Hi everyone and welcome back. I've decided in the next 12 days I'm going to do a series of reviews of Charlotte Tilbury's iconic looks, and I'm going to call it the 12 Days of Tilbury as we're coming up to Christmas. But before I do that, I wanted to kind of introduce to you why I've chosen to do that and to tell you a little bit about myself, as I haven't been posting a lot recently. Obviously, I'm going to be doing that a bit more regularly. So, first of all, the idea for the 12 Days of Tilbury. Charlotte Tilbury has got 10 iconic looks, as you know. And each look is like a wardrobe. It's like a set of makeup items that all work together to make one look, an iconic look that she relates to a particular icon of the past. It's absolutely fantastic idea. Now, before I go any further, anybody that has been following me up to now will see that a lot of the videos that I've posted have been Charlotte Tilbury. Let me reassure you that I do actually use other makeup, but I wanted to explain to you a little bit about why I'm so loyal to Charlotte Tilbury as a brand. Because when you look back, you might think that, oh, why is she always doing Charlotte Tilbury? She must be sponsored. I can tell you right now, I'm not sponsored. There's nothing in it for me to shout about Charlotte Tilbury in terms of financial reward. But I wanted to explain to you the reason why I am so into Charlotte Tilbury. Now, I hope this time that I'm going to get through this without starting to blubber, because I don't want to blubber, and if I do, I'm going to re-record it. The reason being is I don't want anyone here to feel sorry for me, because that is not the purpose of why I'm explaining this little preamble to Charlotte Tilbury's 12 Days of Tilbury. But I do want to explain to you why I'm so loyal to Charlotte Tilbury as a brand. So allow me to explain to you why that is. Okay, so I have got something called spina bifida, which is a neurological condition that I was born with. And this condition affects my legs and my ability to walk. And it also affects certain other things like your kidneys and invisible things like that. So it's always been very difficult for me to walk. I didn't walk until I was 3.5. But I did actually learn to walk with difficulty, but I could get around. But I also have another complication from my spina bifida, which is that I have got what's called a tethered cord. And this is a complication that often arises out of the surgery that they do for spina bifida. And it's very fitting that I will do this actually in the weeks coming up to spina bifida and hydrocephalus awareness week. Now, a few years ago, how this relates back to Charlotte Tilbury was a few years ago, things started to deteriorate a lot more rapidly. So the tethered cord makes my disability quite progressive. But a few years ago, it started to speed up. And eventually, about 3 years ago, I had to start using a mobility scooter. Now, for anyone that hasn't gone through this on the sidelines looking, this isn't something you wake up one morning and you think, yeah, I need to use a mobility scooter now. I'll go out and buy one. It was a number of years of real psychological struggle and turmoil of don't give up, carry on walking. But the walking was getting more and more difficult, more and more painful. So it was a very difficult journey. And then I finally decided that enough was enough, and I got my scooter, and it gave me the freedom back that I'd actually been missing for years. I got to things a lot earlier. It was a very positive step for me overall, mobility-wise. But there was a downside to it as well. Now, I've always liked makeup. I've always been into makeup. I trained as an opera singer and we did stage makeup. And I'm very creative, obviously, as an opera singer, music therapist. I'm quite a creative person, so I've always been interested in makeup. But when I went through this kind of transition period, there were lots of things that were affecting how I felt about myself. So, for example, because I had to start using a mobility scooter, I started to put on a lot of weight. And things became a lot more uncomfortable for me. My legs started to swell up as well, which meant that whereas before, although I had medical shoes, I was able to get wear the occasional pair of nice boots. I've got some lovely patent leather boots, navy blue, and I could go out and I could feel quite glamorous. They weren't high heels. I could never wear high heels, but I could go out and dress myself up, and I could feel reasonably good about myself. But this, as things started to get worse, it really started to take a toll on the way I felt about my appearance, because all of a sudden clothes didn't look very good on me. I was putting on a lot of weight. I couldn't actually wear any shoes that I'd bought from a shop anymore. I was basically limited to just wearing my medical shoes, which, try as they might, they're not very glamorous. And then, of course, I went out on my mobility scooter, and the world these days, as you know, everybody's walking around looking at their mobile phone, relying on their peripheral vision to see people coming along. And of course, I'm not at their height anymore. I'm sitting at seat height. And all of a sudden, I felt pretty invisible, really. And I thought, what's the point? What's the point of putting on my makeup? What's the point of what I wear? No one notices me. So for a while, although I was positive about the fact that I could get around a lot more, I kind of lost that joie de vivre in terms of making myself look good. And then I went into MAC and decided I was going to try and give myself a bit of enthusiasm, and asked if they could match my lipstick to my mobility scooter, which was quite good fun because I've got a red metallic mobility scooter. And I came home and I tried it on, and it was a bit of a laugh and it was great fun. But it still wasn't really there. And I really wanted to try and get some enthusiasm going. And so I went onto YouTube and I looked up some makeup tutorials and makeup products. And all of a sudden I came across this woman, which we all know as Charlotte Tilbury. And when I watched her on the screen, something really caught my eye about this woman. Because it wasn't just that she was selling a brand of makeup, which obviously she is. But there was this enthusiasm and this love of makeup. And you could see that it wasn't just about the products that she had produced, that she was selling, that it was actually, she lived, breathed and believed in everything that she sold, and that she had this enthusiasm. And to use one of Charlotte's kind of, she's always talking about stealing people's DNA when she's making lipsticks and when she's making eyeshadow. I felt that day like I'd stolen a bit of her DNA, because there was something about her enthusiasm for makeup and for getting people to feel good about themselves that really rubbed off on me. And I wanted to buy some of her makeup. So I can't remember exactly what I bought, but I remember one of the first products I bought was a brow kit. And I got it home, and it was really good quality. And it arrived in this lovely presented box. And I really liked it. And so I thought, I wonder. And then I won some money, and it was just before Christmas. And I won about £140. And I thought, my mum had died a couple of years before, and I really missed my mum. And I thought, maybe I can spend this money and I can treat it as though it's a Christmas present from my mum. And I'm going to buy one of her iconic looks. And that is what I did. And the first iconic look I bought was the vintage vamp. And the package arrived and it felt like Christmas had come early. All beautifully packaged, a whole makeup look in one box. And I switched on Charlotte's YouTube tutorial and kept pausing it and putting it on and following her tutorial. And when I'd finished, I looked in the mirror and I felt that buzz, that excitement that I used to get from putting on a nice pair of shoes, matching a dress with a pair of shoes. And I suddenly realised that yes, maybe I couldn't wear the shoes I wanted to wear anymore. Maybe I couldn't wear lots of different clothes because they were too uncomfortable. But no one was going to stop me making out different looks on my face. Nothing was going to change that. No bad pain days, no bad mobility days. I could do what I liked to my face. And I felt so confident. And then I went out in my scooter that day and suddenly I realised that people were noticing me. And I thought, what's this about? Because I'm still sitting at seat height. And I realised that it was about the fact that I suddenly felt confident about myself. And when you feel confident about yourself, then other people notice you. It's no big deal. There's no secret mystery to it. And if you see, I'm just going to show you, her iconic look came in this bag. And it says, give a woman the right makeup and she can conquer the world. And that is so true. It may sound like I am being overly romantic about this, but that is how I felt. And as you can see, there's a little tear in my eye, but I'm not going to cry. Now, because I don't want anybody to feel sorry for me. Now, the reason I want to do these 12 days of Tilbury is because although Charlotte does tutorials on all the 10 iconic looks, and I'm going to throw in a couple of surprises at the end, they're all on these beautiful young women with brilliant complexions that, you know, just don't seem to have a flaw on them. And I know that there's some women of a certain age, and I'm that certain age, I'm in my sort of mid to late 40s, that might think, yeah, that's all well and good, but that's not going to look any good on me. And I can promise you that every 10 of her iconic looks will look good on any age of woman. And she's absolutely right. Now, how have I got these 10 iconic looks? Well, as I said, it started a bug in me. And 18 months on, collecting little bits and pieces, I've pretty much got every one of her 10 iconic looks, bar a couple of small products. So I can kind of mix and match. I may not be able to go up in the morning and decide what colour shoes I'm wearing. They're going to still be the same old black medical shoes. But I can think, well, am I going to be a golden goddess today or a vintage vamp? And I have a wardrobe for my face. And it really makes me feel confident. So I hope that you can join me over the next 12 days. Now that you know my reasons for it, and I'm glad I got through it because, as I said, no tears, no sympathy, please. I'm glad I got through this, and I'm going to demonstrate to you Charlotte's 10 iconic looks and a couple of extra things thrown in at the end as a surprise. And I hope you enjoy it. So what I'm going to do is catch me tomorrow. I will have done my base, and I will have done my contouring, and I'll be all up and ready to work with my first iconic look, and I'm not going to tell you what it is so that you can tune in and find out. Okay, thank you very much. Hope you can join me. If you like this, please press subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.